The cameras flashed. The crowd froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a massive new obsession.
Oh yeah, it was wild.
Because you were picturing this perfect Southern California summer evening, right? You have your drink, you found your seat at the Hollywood Bowl, and you were waiting for a legendary band you spent hundreds of dollars to see.
Months of anticipation.
Exactly. The sun goes down, the lights drop, and the crowd goes wild. But then, imagine, just 24 hours earlier, that entire event just evaporates.
Just completely gone.
A notification pops up on your phone, and the show is canceled. And yesterday, that exact nightmare scenario happened to thousands of fans. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And our mission today is to pull back the curtain on this wildly fragile, honestly heavily monopolized ecosystem. We're diving deep into the headline that is basically breaking the internet right now. This law just destroyed Ticketmaster.
It really is the headline everywhere. I mean, we are looking at breaking entertainment news about a sudden concert cancellation, right? But also historical data on music industry mega mergers.
Yeah, and then it's California legislative bill analysis that reads, honestly, like a tech industry thriller.
It totally does. The cancellation of a massive arena show is it's basically a fascinating stress test of our cultural economy. We see the music and the art, but beneath that is this rigid financial infrastructure.
Right, the invisible plumbing.
Exactly. When an event is called off, that infrastructure is forced into a sudden, violently abrupt reverse gear.
So we'll start with the immediate chaos of that specific Hollywood Bowl cancellation, and then we are going to use that fallout to examine the massive centralized apparatus controlling the music industry.
And finally unpack that first-of-its-kind California law that is literally threatening to dismantle the monopoly.
But first, if you are loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you are subscribed, because we have got even crazier stories ahead today.
For sure. So the context of this specific cancellation sets the stage perfectly. It is August 2026. ZZ Top is in the middle of their massive The Big One tour.
Huge tour.
Yeah, they are booked to play the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles on August 5th. With Cheap Trick as their opener, and on August 4th, literally the day before the gig, they pull the plug.
Which is crazy because TMZ reported that it followed another sudden cancellation just down the coast in San Diego.
Right. And the official statement from the band's spokesperson was incredibly vague. They just cited unforeseen personnel matters.
Unforeseen personnel matters. I mean, Billy F. Gibbons, the frontman, released a quote calling them insurmountable obstacles, and he was, asking fans for patience during a brief interruption.
Yeah, and insurmountable obstacles is a heavy phrase for a band that has summited virtually every mountain in the music industry. I mean, they launched in 1969.
They've been around forever. They survived the transition into the MTV era by totally reinventing their sound with synthesizers. And, according to Variety, their recent history proves they do not cancel shows lightly.
Not at all. In 2021, they suffered the death of their longtime bassist, Dusty Hill.
All right.
But they kept the tour going. His guitar tech, Elwood Francis, stepped in. And drummer Frank Beard had an emergency appendectomy back in 2002 that forced a reshuffle.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and just last year, in March 2025, he had to step away for a health issue, prompting them to bring in John Douglas on drums. So they are notorious for making it work.
Exactly. A sudden, full-stop cancellation at a premier venue implies a systemic halt. But the wild part is the difference in how the two bands handled that halt.
It is so revealing about the live music ecosystem. ZZ Top essentially went completely dark. But Cheap Trick, on the other hand, they found themselves stranded in LA without a gig.
Right, what do you do?
Instead of taking the night off, they scrambled. Within a few hours, they managed to book a replacement show for the night of August 5th at the Troubadour in West Hollywood.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because Cheap Trick was able to pivot in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Independent clubs like the Troubadour operate with a level of agility that massive amphitheaters simply do not have.
No, not at all.
Going from a 17,000-seat outdoor amphitheater to a 500-capacity intimate club is a massive downshift in logistics. When a Hollywood Bowl show drops, agility is impossible.
Because the venue is locked into a massive, rigid infrastructure just to handle the financial shockwave of refunding millions of dollars in a matter of days.
Yes. Which brings us to the entity that actually controls that infrastructure. How does the financial unwinding actually happen?
Well, it requires an immense amount of centralized processing power. So when the Hollywood Bowl show collapsed, The venue immediately promised automatic refunds to the original payment methods within 5 to 7 business days.
Like, you don't even have to do anything.
Exactly. Fans did not have to click a link. They didn't have to fill out a form or call a hotline. The money just reverses course.
Which is amazing for the fan.
It is a modern marvel, but it is only possible because we are operating within a highly centralized, heavily controlled primary ticketing system.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, if you bought a ticket to see ZZ Top in 1985, you received a piece of cardboard.
Yep.
A literal stub.
Right, and if the show was canceled, you had to physically drive back to the record store or the box office, hand the clerk your cardboard, and get physical cash back.
Which sounds exhausting now.
Totally. Today's digital reversal is incredibly efficient, but it requires a central authority holding all the data, all the inventory, and all the transaction records simultaneously.
And that digital efficiency comes at a severe cost to market competition. I mean, the modern ticketing architecture was fundamentally cemented in 2010.
The merger.
Yes, that was the year the United States Justice Department approved the merger of Live Nation, which was already a massive events promoter and venue operator, and Ticketmaster, the undisputed giant of ticket sales.
The DOJ essentially allowed the creation of a vertically integrated toll road. Live Nation Entertainment owns the cars, meaning they manage the artists and promote the tours. They own the pavement, meaning they operate the physical venues. And through Ticketmaster, they own the toll booths. It is a complete monopoly. They control an estimated 60 to 80% of the primary ticketing and live event venues market, and 78% of the top-grossing arenas.
Which is why you, as a listener, should care about this. Because since that 2010 merger, when adjusted for inflation, ticket prices have increased by a staggering 140%.
140%. That is insane. The cost of attending a live event has astronomically outpaced regular economic inflation.
And consumer advocates have spent 16 years warning that a monopoly power creates an environment where venues feel they have no choice but to comply with the giant.
Well, yeah, because if a venue decides they are tired of the fees and wants to use a competing ticketing software, the fear of retaliation is intense. The assumption is that Live Nation will simply route their massive, highly profitable tours away from that building.
But it isn't just about the fear of a boycott, right? The mechanics of venue contracts involve massive amounts of upfront capital. Ticketing companies often secure exclusivity agreements that last anywhere from 3 to 7 years by offering venues massive cash advances against future ticketing fees.
Oh, wow. So they basically buy their loyalty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
An independent venue often needs that liquid cash to renovate bathrooms or, upgrade sound systems or simply survive a slow season. They sign away their competitive freedom for immediate survival.
And tour routing algorithms add another layer of enforcement. When a promoter is planning a 40-city arena tour, geographic logic is paramount. You send the trucks from Chicago to Detroit to Cleveland.
Makes sense.
But if the only arena in Cleveland refuses to use Ticketmaster, the promoter faces a logistical nightmare. They either have to route the tour hundreds of miles out of the way, losing days of revenue, or they simply skip the market.
Sheer scale of the Live Nation ecosystem means compliance is just the path of least resistance for everyone involved. And we see this pattern globally, by the way.
Oh, definitely.
In 2017, Ireland's Competition and Consumer Protection Commission launched an intense investigation into Ticketmaster Ireland. They spent years analyzing the market and concluded that Ticketmaster might have abused a dominant position, specifically by locking venues into long-term exclusive contracts.
Wait, so what happened?
Well, by 2020, Ticketmaster Ireland was forced to enter into an agreement to remove those exclusivity clauses entirely. Ireland proved that government intervention could successfully dismantle the contractual chokehold.
And that's not even the wildest part, because California lawmakers are attempting something far more aggressive right now.
Right. Assembly Bill 2808.
Exactly. AB 2808, authored by Assemblymember Buffy Wicks, is currently moving through the legislature. The stated goal is to attack the root cause of high ticket prices by legally forcing competition at the very first point of sale.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The bill requires primary ticketing systems to create an open API and application programming interface that allows third-party resellers to access the venue's master ledger of tickets.
Right, but forcing an arena's internal system to talk to a dozen different websites simultaneously sounds like a massive technological liability. Like if you open up the master ledger, you are inviting chaos. How does an API actually prevent two different platforms from selling the exact same seat at the exact same time?
Yeah, that concurrency problem is basically the hardest technical challenge in live ticketing. Think of the venue's ticket manifest as a single physical seating chart.
Okay.
If a user on StubHub and a user on SeatGeek are both trying to purchase seat 4A at the exact same millisecond, the API acts as a high-speed air traffic controller.
So it manages the traffic.
Right. The moment the StubHub user clicks the seat, the API must instantly issue a cryptographic lock on that specific row and seat number. It then has to propagate that lock across the venue servers in California, over to SeatGeek servers in New York, and down to an app on a user's phone, all in under 50 milliseconds.
Wow, and if that fails?
If that synchronization fails or lags for even half a second, the system double books the seat, and you end up with two angry fans holding legitimate barcodes for the same chair.
Which makes the Expedia or Kayak analogy much clearer. Like when you book a flight, you don't have to go directly to Delta's website. You can use Kayak, which uses an API to tap into Delta's master ledger of seats.
Exactly. Kayak, Expedia, and Booking.com are all competing for your business based on user experience or customer service or rewards programs, but they're all drawing from the exact same inventory simultaneously.
And the airline manages the concurrency locks. So AB 2808 wants to turn concert ticketing into the airline ticketing model. It explicitly prohibits a ticketing enterprise or a venue from providing services on an exclusive or discriminatory basis.
And the enforcement mechanisms in this bill are severe. You cannot throttle a competitor's access to the API, you cannot give one platform a preferred scheduling tier, and you cannot penalize a fan who arrives at the door with a ticket purchased from a secondary platform.
And if they do?
If a venue or primary ticketer violates these rules, they face a $2,500 fine per ticket, per violation.
Per ticket. That is insane. For a sold-out 17,000-seat amphitheater, a systemic violation could trigger tens of millions of dollars in fines instantly. It is a literal financial sledgehammer designed to shatter the vertical integration.
And pro-competition advocates, groups like the Consumer Federation of California and the California Black Chamber of Commerce, are championing this bill. From their perspective, breaking the vertical toll road gives fans control over the assets they rightfully purchased.
Right. It forces platforms to compete on price and stops a single corporate entity from dictating the entire market.
Later in the episode, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming regarding the tech side of this. But wait until you hear who is actually fighting this bill.
Yeah, because it is not just Live Nation complaining to protect their profit margins. Look at who else is fighting this bill: small independent venues.
Exactly. The National Independent Venue Association of California has come out strongly against the bill in its current form. Their concerns are deeply rooted in the operational reality of running a live event.
Because the people manning the box office, running the security lines, and dealing with irate guests are not corporate executives. They are hourly venue staff.
Right. If I am running the door at a 500-person club like the Troubadour, I have a tiny, overworked staff. Currently, if a fan shows up with a fake ticket, the venue staff can easily verify it against one single primary system.
Just scan it and go.
But if this law passes, that door staff suddenly has to scan and authenticate barcodes generated by Ticketmaster, SeatGeek, StubHub, and Vivid Seats all simultaneously.
What if the API goes down?
Exactly. If the central API goes down on a Friday night, or if a third-party platform server crashes, the venue staff is left completely blind. They can't verify who belongs in the building, and you have an immediate public safety hazard forming on the sidewalk.
The logistics of managing a multi-platform ecosystem at the door are daunting for a small club. But when you scale that up to the mega events coming to California, the security stakes become monumental.
Because California is preparing to host the 2026 FIFA World Cup, the 2027 Super Bowl, and the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games.
Right. And these are massive international events governed by incredibly strict safety protocols dictated by global organizations. The San Francisco 49ers, the Golden State Warriors, and the Los Angeles Rams have all voiced severe opposition to the API mandate.
And honestly, their concern makes complete sense from an IT perspective. An API is essentially a door cut into the exterior wall of a venue's internal network.
Yeah, you are legally mandating that a venue must allow outside software companies to plug directly into their core database.
Even with encryption, every new API connection increases the attack surface for hackers. The cybersecurity liability is massive.
For a high-target event like the Olympics, organizers need absolute ironclad control over who possesses a digital ticket, who transferred it, and where the data resides.
Opponents argue that legally forcing venues to open their internal systems to third-party resellers compromises international security protocols. Without the ability to strictly control the ticketing ecosystem, bad actors could potentially access customer data or infiltrate the venue servers.
And it seems like the lawmakers are listening to that, because the legislative committee analyzing the bill found these arguments compelling enough to request amendments.
Yeah, they suggested removing the system access API provisions entirely and exempting professional and collegiate sporting events, acknowledging that the threat of fraud and security breaches at scale is a highly valid concern.
It is wild. The collision of consumer rights and real-world logistics here is fascinating. The supporters see a necessary, aggressive strike against a 16-year monopoly that has gouged fans and stifled innovation.
While the opponents see a technologically reckless mandate that forces venues to bear the brunt of a logistical nightmare while actively degrading cybersecurity, it really shows that the battle over who controls the point of sale is really the battle for the future of live entertainment.
And hey, stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because this next part is the real kicker.
Yeah, the structural conflict of the modern entertainment industry always comes back to access and control. The Government Accountability Office released a report back in 2018 detailing how professional ticket brokers actually operate.
Right, because the resale market is not driven by fans selling an extra ticket to a friend. It is dominated by highly sophisticated broker businesses utilizing advanced technology.
They don't just use simple web scrapers. They utilize headless browsers.
Headless browsers, what is that?
They are web browsers without a graphical user interface that can execute scripts at lightning speed. They route their attacks through residential IP proxies, bouncing their signals through the routers of everyday internet users to mask their location and mimic thousands of geographically diverse fans logging in simultaneously.
Oh my God, so they bypass the digital waiting rooms entirely. That technology is the reason a highly anticipated arena tour can sell out its primary inventory in 3 seconds, only to have thousands of those exact same tickets appear on a resale site a minute later for 5 times the original price.
Exactly. The brokers use brute force technology to overwhelm the primary system's defenses.
Yeah.
And that leads to a highly provocative thought regarding this legislation.
This is the scary part.
If California succeeds in forcing venues to build an open, standardized API that seamlessly integrates the secondary market with the primary box office ledger, they are building a highly efficient digital bridge.
Could that inadvertently give those high-tech predatory ticket brokers even faster, more direct access to the inventory?
Think about it.
Yeah.
You build a new multi-lane highway with the intention of reducing traffic for the everyday commuter, but you might just be handing the getaway cars a frictionless route to clear out the bank. Because if a broker's algorithm no longer has to scrape a messy web page and can instead plug directly into the venue's newly mandated API, the scalping process becomes infinitely more efficient.
So forcing competition at the software level might accidentally optimize the very entities that are exploiting the fans in the first place.
It is the ultimate unintended consequence of regulating complex digital ecosystems. The attempt to democratize the data might just hand the keys of the kingdom directly to the bots.
It really all comes back to that initial feeling at the Hollywood Bowl. You just want to stand in the warm night air and hear a legendary band play a song you love.
But between your wallet and that stage lies an incredibly complex labyrinth. I mean, it is a web of vertical integration, mega mergers, million-dollar venue contracts, algorithmic tour routing, millisecond API concurrency locks, and brute force residential proxy bots.
The music is the art, but the ticketing is a brutal, high-stakes science.
It really is. It makes you realize that successfully getting through the turnstile and finding your seat is sometimes the most impressive performance of the entire night. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining. Take a closer look at the digital infrastructure running your life. Keep questioning the mechanics behind the curtain, and stay curious.